Hello and welcome back to a fresh new episode of Knock Off the Perch, a Manchester United podcast. Today is a special episode. We'll be talking about Manchester United in 25-26 season preview. So, pre-season's done. We are almost through the transfer window. Some new signings have come in. We have seen Amorim try and fit these signings into his renowned 3-4-3 system. Now the real business begins. On to brass tacks, Saruj. How are we feeling about the season?
First things first, decent transfer window as far as it's turning out to be. Last season, we had the big problem of not being able to score enough goals. We have replaced our front three. This will be a new shiny front three of Cunha, Mbembo, and Sheshko. So very excited with that. I think that should one lead to United playing some exciting football. We should see a lot more goals than we have seen in the last couple of seasons. And if all of them were to click, we could be as potent as attack as anybody with Bruno feeding all three of them. So I'm very excited with that. We will talk about where it could lead us in the Premier League table. I think that is the most important point. And apart from that, I think the big thing preseason we did not lose any game, although results don't matter so much in the preseason. We have seen glimpses of this team showing those ideas that Amorim has been speaking about in the past. We are seeing certain patterns of play come together, although we are nowhere near a finished product as yet, but signs are positive.
Agreed, agreed.
Cool. So I think one thing that we quickly wanted to do is when we lost the Europa League final against Spurs, that 1-0 defeat, which hurt us a lot, gave us a lot of pain, we had some immediate thoughts at the back of that. And let's maybe react to them a little bit, Dheeraj. See how the United squad, Manchester United as a club have shaped in those last month and a half. And based on that, let's see the direction in which we are moving to.
Yeah, this
So,
was a knee-jerk reaction to the loss, but it wasn't as knee-jerk as I'd say because it has been a culmination of all the wrong decisions that have taken into and that loss against Spurs, it encapsulated it because it wasn't about the loss as much as it was about the lack of direction a typical United fan found himself in. So we discussed what could change across the summer, and it has been 2 months now. Let's get right into it. We expected the Amorim project, to have a major churn. It is in the same lines as he went through for his last stint at Sporting. He had
yeah,
some multiple incomings and outcomings. We've talked about that in length.
yeah.
Are we happy with the incomings and outgoings? What will we rate our window? I'll go first. I'm very happy with the four players that we have brought in. Okay, Diego Leon is a unknown quantity, but he might turn out to be a good squad player. But in the form of Mbumo, Sheshko, and Cunha, I think we have three quality players who
Yeah,
will be there for United for years to come. The right age profile, right profile, which fits into the thinking of the manager, and
yeah,
two of them are Premier League proven, and one of them is, say, Europe proven. We can say like as good as you can get, as good as a young striker you can get in Europe. So I'd rate our
yeah.
window so far a 7 out of 10. I give them 7 out of 10 only for the reason by because the outgoings haven't been as smooth and as many as we had hoped for.
Yeah, yeah. No, fair point. But when we talk about the overall, I think broadly, if we look at the players who are going out or are supposed to go out, the fact that likes of Garnacho, Sancho, Anthony are nowhere near the first team goes on to show that in some shape or form they will be released from the club. So, taking into account the outgoings and counting them among the player who will eventually go out, and the three plus Leon that we have signed, I think it's a decent window so far. We obviously, even the game against Fiorentina, we saw there are certain gaps, especially in the midfield, that need to be fixed. And I think that spot, the number six spot in our midfield, I
Hmm.
think that is definitely something that all United fans are talking a lot about, that it needs to be changed. And it seems Ineos is hearing the moment we got confirmations from tier one transfer journalist sources that the Sheshko deal is pretty much through. immediately we started hearing rumors about Baleba, and Baleba transfer is not going to be an easy one, even if this were to go through. But over the last couple of days, we've already heard about the fact that there have been contact through intermediaries with Brighton. There has been contact with the player. The player's agent may be ready to reduce his fees to facilitate a move. So it seems like Baleba is interested. Brighton might slap a 100 million euro fee, but if we are able to sell Garnacho to Chelsea, which is also gaining traction, if we are able to get a decent deal for Rasmus Højlund, maybe, although both of us don't really want him to go out, but it seems like he's on his way out. So if some of that comes through, even Baleba deal might happen. And that would make this transfer window really, really top notch for
Yeah,
United.
like I mean, I'd really hope we don't obsess about this one singular player. I think important
Yeah,
thing is to get that position filled.
true,
Be a Baleba, be it a Wharton, be it a Douglas Lewis. We need depth in that form, and we need a different solution in that position from the ones
correct.
that we currently have. Ugarte is not too great on the ball. Like when we have the ball, I think he doesn't present with the best solutions. Bruno is often left exposed. I mean, the combination of Bruno and Casemiro.
Yeah,
While Menu has not shown as big a jump in his physical impact on the game as we expect a player in that position to show, and he has
yeah,
been more effective ahead of the field rather than at the sixth position. So that
true.
position is a problematic position for us right now. We really hope we get a solution there. And any solution is a good solution right now. I'd say
And
even a loan solution with a Douglas Lewis with the option to buy next year is a good solution because again, we have repeated this quite a few times in this window. I don't think
yeah.
now we can buy before we sell. I really don't know where
I
Ineos is getting the gall and the money, but I
yeah.
really think that we need to sell before we buy.
Let's see. We've been through this before. This club figures out ways to keep buying player. I think they've been smart about how the deals are structured. They
Hmm.
are ensuring that they're paying, like the Cunha deal is supposed to be in three installments. That was part of his buyout clause. Buemo deal is, I think, supposed to be in five installments. So essentially per year they're paying 18 to 20 million for
Fun
these players.
fun part of that is actually the Cunha deal, the time it took place, it's actually accounted in the last financial year, not this financial year.
Absolutely. I think it
Hmm.
was right before 1st
So
January. So
that's
yeah,
a clever, use of accounting.
correct, correct. Absolutely, absolutely. Just before we get
Hmm.
into more depths about the squad, I think the last 2 points which we spoke about immediately after the Europa League final, just wanted to quickly touch upon that. United pull going away, we were talking about it, definitely not with the players. I mean, we don't know about sponsors, TV rights, etc. at this point in time, but with the players, with the kind of pull United has been able to show, uh, 15th, finished 15th out of Champions League, out of any European club, and the players have chosen Manchester United over clubs who have been in and around competing for the league, who have been in Europe, who have entered Champions League, etc. And I think the Manchester United name is too big for other clubs to easily compete with. So that, I think, is great, but we can't take it for granted. We haven't done well as a team in the last few years. I think it's time that this club starts showing that. And in terms of manager uncertainty, Ineos is fully backed Amorim at this point in time, right? We can fairly say that, right?
No, yeah, I mean, fair. When we talk about United pull, when we talk about manager uncertainty, these are points which well taken care of. This is, in fact, is such a brilliant week for United fans all across. We had De Gea coming over at Old Trafford and getting his testimonial as it should. And these are things which a club should be doing the right way. And this was something which was missed in the last 2 years. I was very happy
Yeah.
that he got the right farewell, which he deserved. 12 years at the club, 4 years being the PFA player, no, the Manchester United Player of the Year,
Sir Matt
and
Busby, player of the year.
and then the unveiling of Carrington, a 50 million
Oh, yeah.
overhaul. That's a big one, right? So our pull
Carrington,
is there.
new Carrington looks chic, by the way. I mean, I am not too privy to how the training facilities of rest of the clubs are. but this looks top notch. So yeah, Ineos is putting the money where their mouth is, and I think a lot of negative sentiment around Ineos. I think they have managed to, with the actions on the transfer market, in the transfer market, with the training facility, etc. They've been able to do that. And one thing about training facilities, etc., I feel is that is where the culture of the club shift really comes
Hmm.
through. I mean,
Yep.
you can change manager, you can bring in the best of the players, etc. But unless and until you are changing the fabric, which had maybe to some extent deteriorated in the club, and which is where I'm very, very happy with this transformation. United are doing a great job of marketing it out there, and the entire inauguration felt very good as a United fan. Sir Alex was there. Uh, those that drone video which takes you through
Yep.
the entire Carrington, that was very well shot. So I'm pretty happy with some of these changes, and hopefully we start to see some of these changes on the pitch now. We want
So
results, we want
some of the
victories.
funny points about the Carrington unveiling I found out were one, they have a separate section for a barber shop, so players can actually invite their own barbers.
This was a player demand. Yeah.
Yeah, so they can actually bring their own barbers to get a new cut and whatnot. And second one, this is they have automated e-urinals now in at Carrington.
Oh wow.
So like it actually tells the player if they are dehydrated, how much water they need to drink, and like okay, like this is like some next level future shit that we're talking about. So that was pretty
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
Coming down to
And
the yeah, go on.
no, go on. Just last thing that I want to talk about. Remember when we visited the Old Trafford and the dressing room inside, and in comparison to that, the new Carrington dressing room now with those screens which talks
Yeah,
about personalized schedule, personalized plan, etc. for
yeah,
each of the player. I think good stuff. Some of this is like really good touches. You
yeah.
personalize that stuff, and they have even increased the capacity of the player dressing room so that whenever a new player is coming in or an academy player is making that shift to the first team, they have their like own permanent
That's
spot,
a good
etc. So
touch.
that's a good touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
And yes,
Cool.
of course, Amarim has been bagged over the window. The biggest example of this is player power being broken in the form of Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony. All of them weren't even part of the preseason. And I think Luke Shaw has come in and said that there was a toxic culture which has been broken now. And he was referring to these players. It was quite surprising to me because this was coming from a player who's been part of a dressing room with these
Correct.
bomb squad, and that was testament to me in the kind of togetherness that Amarim wants this team to have. We only have Premier League this season to shout for, and he's making like doing his best to make sure that all the elements that are needed to have a good, secure team are there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think on that note, let's talk about the squad, where our squad is today. And we have just sort of mapped players to certain positions who could be the first starters in those positions, who could be alternate players. And in a couple of red zones still for us that we need to sort out. Hopefully, we can in this transfer window. But yeah, Dheeraj, let's walk through this. Let's see where some of our strengths lie. Where is it that we might need to see certain improvements? And obviously there are players who can play multiple positions. So I think whether it is you need to change your personnel for a certain game, or there are injuries, suspensions, etc., and you need to manage around, I think we have enough maneuverability, flexibility in this squad for that.
Yep, yeah, I agree. Let's start with the front three today.
Yeah.
I believe Bumo and Cunha, we have found perfect replacements for one Rashford, Garnacho, and Anthony. These were three names which were either like big contributors or came for big fees.
Yeah.
Sancho as well. These four players, I think in Bumo and Cunha, we have found Premier League proven solutions at the number 10 position. We already had a few solutions. So Ahmad did pretty well at this position. So we
Yeah.
will probably see Bumo and Ahmad taking turns on that position. And Bruno used to play that, a lot of times in the number 10 position. And we believe that it is his best position because that is where
Yeah.
He's closest to the goal, and that is where he creates the most number of chances as well. Mount has been a very interesting case. We talked about how he has 100% of Amorim's trust. What
Yeah.
has been clear during the preseason is he has the heart to run, uh,
Yeah.
and he'll make certain intelligent solutions which weren't expected from when we had Garnacho in that position. We expected electricity, we expected something unusual there. Something out of the blue he'll do and create chances. With Mount, one
Yeah.
thing is sure that he will more often than not find the right solution, what is required of the game.
True.
He'll make
True.
those runs, he'll do the pressing incessantly throughout the game. This is something which was
Yeah.
clear yesterday also during the Fiorentina game. What did you make of
I think Mount was one of the better players in the squad yesterday.
that?
I'm particularly not sure if switching over between false nine and that number 10 spot is the best use of how we need to play Mount. But given the role he had yesterday, he was very good with pressing. He was very good with finding those neat passes. And over the course of maybe last 2 months in the previous season and this preseason, we have seen that he's getting that eye back for the goal again. We saw a couple of neat finishes towards the end of last season. We saw a really good finish in the preseason as well. And this is the Mount we knew back in Chelsea who would actively contribute in games. I remember as part of my FPL research, so to say, back in those days when he was with Chelsea, he would always be a consideration because he was playing in and around the box. He would
Hmm.
find players with those assists. He will be in the goals as well. So that is what we expect from Mount. And Mount, to be very honest, is almost like a first change solution for us at this point in time. Once we have Sheshko fully integrated in the squad, we won't need him to play that false nine-ish sort of a role. And I think he will be behind Cunha in that number 10 spot, or Cunha or Bumo, whichever left or right he is playing. So he will be behind them. But he's a great solution to have. He could often come at the 60th minute. He could be involved in the cup games, etc. So that's a good solution to have. So I think at this point in time, our front three is pretty stacked. We
Hmm.
have the different solutions. We can move players around. We can switch personalities there depending on the game situation, depending on the opposition, depending on the competition. So I think Ineos have taken that into account. Previous season, they fixed the backline. They got in Delict, they got in Mazarawi, they got in Euro, they got in Heaven, and this season they've fixed the front three. Possibly they can maybe make that midfield signing. We'll talk about that a little more. But Hoyland is one player. When we talk about the
Hmm.
front three, we are hearing murmurs that AC Milan are very close uh, to at least agreeing with United what a possible solution could be in terms of loan plus a buy option. But there hasn't been any concrete movement with Hoyland yet. He still wants to fight for his position despite even not getting any minutes against Fiorentina. What do you make of the Hoyland situation?
These are exactly the noises which I love coming from players. A player who, in spite of seeing a 70, 80 million signing come in through in the window and who's being hailed by all the fans as the savior of the club, still wanting to stay in and fight for a position. That just shows me the character of the player. That the initial profiling which would have been done for the player, that it was exactly right. Yes, the output hasn't been there in the last season, but I'm so happy that what we are hearing from Hoyland and his camp is that he wants to stay and fight for his place. That being said, if we can find a solution which is amicable for both the player as well as the club, uh, in which his value is being met by United, I think AC Milan would be a good place to go for a loan. Whether the loan, option to buy 40 million is what we are hearing, is a good value for him. Totally depends on his performance. But I remember Dalo going to AC Milan for a season and coming back an entirely different player.
Yeah,
That could be the case. And we have seen strikers do well in Italy before. Moise Kean, Lukaku has done well. So it could be the season that he needs, maybe
yeah.
not the one that he wants right now. But yes, the fact that he wants to stay back and fight gives me a big hope in the player, in that that the character of the player is still there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would love for him to stay. Only thing is, we will have too many options up front in a in a year where we are not playing in Europe. So maybe it's better if he can get game time. If he does well, AC Milan take him on a permanent deal. That I think financially makes sense for United. If he does well and comes back a new player to United next year, that would be great as well. So hopefully we can find the right solutions for him. Coming to midfield, talking about our number 6 and number 8 spot, I think that is where the biggest worries we have. Bruno is obviously a player who will be on the pitch irrespective of which position he plays. Yeah, you wanted to add?
Let's talk these positions in tandem to each other. Talk to me
Yeah.
about the combination you'd like there and the combinations that have worked and haven't worked, what you have noticed in the preseason.
So ideally, given the personnel that we have,
Hmm.
uh, I would hope for Ugarte and Bruno to be our solution at this point in time.
Hmm.
Only thing is, Ugarte has a few mistakes in him when he's on the ball. And in this Amorim system, I don't think that is easily looked over. I don't think Amorim will let that go easily. We saw a couple of mistakes in the US Summer Series as well. He wasn't part of the squad that or the team that played the majority of the game yesterday. So, but Ugarte, I feel, is that good tackler, interceptor. He can break play really well. But if he were to just add ball playing to his armor, I think that is what with Bruno he could be a really good solution. But given at this point in time, we are not seeing that from him. Casemiro is the other solution, and what we saw yesterday, I think Casemiro just doesn't have the legs or physicality anymore, unfortunately, to do it week in week out in the Premier League. So, which is where I have the problem. And another thing that actually that I want to talk about, Menu when he came on yesterday, came on instead of Casemiro, and for a very brief period of 10-15 odd minutes, we had Menu and Bruno as our pivot for a short period of time. I actually like that idea. I feel Menu is young enough to be molded into whatever player Amorim wants him to be, but again, maybe he doesn't have the physicality at this point in time and the ball playing. He has the ball playing ability, but ability to intercept play and break play, I think he will need to improve on. So, as we've spoken about earlier, multiple solutions, but none of them uh, are perfect enough for us to solve everything.
Yeah, I think what I noticed in the summer window and during the preseason was the best football that we played in the game against Everton, if I'm not wrong, was when we were playing both Menu and Ugarte together. I think the best
Yeah,
45, 60 minutes of football was when these two were playing to the top notch of their form. And I believe Bruno was playing at number 10 solution at that point of time. That was the best football that we saw. That being said, you already mentioned like Ugarte, the problem with it. The most number of minutes have been afforded to Bruno and Casemiro, and that is a solution which I don't love. I
yeah,
feel we'll get founded out by any teams which have better legs in that positions. Bruno has to cover up for Casemiro's legs a lot of times, which in fact is not ideal because he's away from the goal then all the
yeah.
time. He can dictate play, he can dictate play, and he can control the tempo of the game from number 6 positions. I'm very happy when Bruno does that. But again, my ideal solution would be somewhat like a Menu and a Bruno playing there with Ugarte giving competition to men. And yes, Casemiro coming out to close the games more than anything else.
Fair point, and I think because of these gaps is where Ineos is even looking to add a player, whether it is Baleba, whether it is Huimeland from Sporting, whether it is Douglas Lewis, as you spoke about. I think we need another player there. Only
Definitely.
thing is, it probably leaves Ugarte out of favor, probably because he's a relatively new signing. If he's not able to prove himself, and we are signing another player there, probably Ugarte then is not in the scheme of things for the long term. But I think that's how the chips have fallen.
Yep. Yep. Talking about the
Uh,
wing backs,
yeah,
Amant and Dorgu seem to be the leading lights in the. Dorgu especially has shown a great turn in form, a great turn in output as well. Ahmad didn't have a particularly good game against Fiorentina, but I
Yeah,
think that can happen to anyone. And I think we have a good enough deputy or good enough backup in Dalo as well. I have a lot of faith in Dalo. I think he's an
yeah,
intelligent player, finds intelligent spaces. His
yeah.
crossing has, I feel his crossing has always been there, but we didn't have finishers or we didn't have, enough bodies in the box till now. If Dalo works perfectly as a right wing back is still a question. But
Hmm.
that being said, I think we have our right wings more sorted than our left wing. Dorgu is a solution there. Leon is still an unknown quantity to me. He has shown signs of bursting ahead and having the engine required in this position. I don't know if he has the maturity and the intelligence for this position, though. What do you make of these two positions?
Yeah. So my thought process is that for a season like this, where we are only playing the Premier League and a few domestic competitions, the options that we have might just work out.
Hmm.
Uh, Ahmad and Dalo, the good thing is that they complement each other very well. Ahmad is great going forward, great on the ball. Dalo is a little more solid defensively. So I think in games when we have to replace one of the front three and Ahmad moves into the number 10 spot, Dalo can come in and shore up the right wing back position. And the other thing is that right wing back or either of the wing back positions in the Amorim system is more like a winger. So
Hmm.
this entire narrative that which is already starting to build on social media, and I'm not a big fan of that. Targeting Ahmad for his defensive duty, etc. Obviously, he will do his defensive duty. He's a player who plays with a lot of heart. He will do a lot of running. He will run back. Maybe he's not the best physical specimen to go ahead and uh, be able to defend from all the crosses and overpower players on that opposition left wing, but I think he will get better at that. Could we do with another player? Maybe not, because I would want Amath to be a part of the 11. I would want him to be playing in right wing back as per Amarim is the best solution for him. On the left side, though, even in the preseason, we have seen that Dorgu has pretty much been playing majority of the minutes. So Leon doesn't, even yesterday, I don't think Leon came on in the match. So obviously, there's a lot of trust in Dorgu that Amarim has at this point in time. But if there's a suspension, if there's an injury, etc., touch wood, it shouldn't happen. But then Leon being the only solution, I am not so sure, and we don't have any other option.
But Leon is not the only solution that we have, do we? We do have Shaw who could fill in for that position for a match or two at least. He has played
Yeah,
that position before, and he is one of our more technical players. He is a player who can build quick bonds, and we do end up seeing, even when Shaw is playing in his left centre back role, we do see him marauding forward quite a lot, right?
yeah, yeah.
And he
No,
has
fair
that
point.
cross on him. He has a good free kick on
Yeah,
him.
there are no doubts about his technical abilities there. I think it's just physically with the injuries that he has had. Can he do the running up the wing and coming back to defend regularly? I think that is a bit of a challenge. And Amarim hasn't really been trying him there. So I
Hmm.
think that is a question mark as well. But talking about Shaw, I think left centre back is one position that I would say is relatively one of the weaker spots where we are
Yeah.
not looking to upgrade at this point in time. We know Martinez is a beast of a player once he comes back, but we don't know the time frame when he'll be back. He hasn't started playing on the pitches yet, so it could be a fair few number of games before he is fit enough to start. Heaven is a young player with a lot of promise, but isn't consistent enough to regularly start Premier League games for us. And that leaves us with Shaw, who hasn't really established himself and taken that left centre back. For that matter, I would say, based on what I'm seeing, Heaven is probably slightly ahead of Shaw at this point in time in the pecking order. What do you make of that spot and what could be possible solves?
Yeah, I think one, in my terms, in my opinion, Shaw is a bit more relatively good solution in this position than Heaven because we've seen Heaven make a few mistakes. I believe Heaven would do well to come from the bench on this position. I
Yeah,
also believe there's a world wherein we see Maguire and Delete play together. I also see Delete filling in this for position if needed. I don't think it's something very out of the book that is asked of Dillit. He
Yeah.
has played that position a few times before.
Yeah,
But
even I
yeah,
think for England, Maguire used to
hmm,
play the left centre back. Only
hmm,
thing is that Amarim wants them to be pacier than typically
yeah,
what Maguire or Delict are, which is where in a couple of games he played Mazarawi there as well. So he could be a solution at times, but just that neither of Maguire, Delict, Mazarawi are left-footed.
true.
Amarim prefers a left-footed centre back in that position, so which is where ideally it's a Martinez, Heaven, or a Shaw who will be the best
Yeah, I
options.
think to start the season, I think Shaw or Heaven we'd be seeing there. But yeah, depending on the numbers, depending on what we see on other positions, we might see a
Absolutely.
Delete or Maguire or a Maza right there. I think the center back is something which is an interesting one because we have seen both Maguire and Delete given number minutes there, and both have performed decently well
Yeah.
aerially, carrying the ball. These are the things you expect from your center back, calling in the line, maintaining the line. Both of them have been perfectly good solutions at center back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think Euro has been a revelation in this preseason. He has made
Yep.
that right centre back his spot his own. He's been really good carrying the ball forward, really good defensively, really good with some of those switch passes, either to a Dorgu or somebody like a Cunha in that left number 10 spot. So I'm very very excited about Euro in that spot and looking forward to he's looking like with the new hairdo also looking a little bit like Ferdinand. So I'm happy with that. That brings us to the goalkeeping spot. Now, we know struggles Onana has had in the past. He's been injured this preseason. We know Binder is possibly not our long term number one. And we've been hearing rumors about Siemens. We've been hearing uh, murmurs about Donnarumma with PSG signing another goalkeeper. Do you necessarily think we need to sign another goalkeeper there? And if yes, who would you prefer? A well-known name in Donnarumma or somebody who could challenge Onana for the future like a Simmons?
I was trying to see like what are Donnarumma issues at PSG that has led to this situation, and there were two issues. One was his wages. The second one was Luis Enrique preferring a keeper who can play from the back and who uses much better
Hmm.
use of his legs. Now, the little I have seen of Donnarumma, I didn't find him as bad as a ball playing goalkeeper. The thing which impresses me the most, thing which I see from a goalkeeper is shot stopping ability. That is a bread
Yeah,
and butter, and he does that well, and he does that best right now. So
yeah,
I think a solution like Donnarumma, if it comes for 26 millions, we should take that solution. You're right in the fact that Binder it isn't a long-term solution. I think Onana could do with a bit more of challenge in this position. So if we get that solution for 26 million, I think we should take that one. Of course, it also depends on what the manager prefers. If he wants to solve the midfield solution first, uh, or the goalkeeping one. But to me, the Donnarumma to United, I think he's a player made for United. He has
yeah,
a big frame. He has been part of big teams. He has won the Euro Cup. He has won the Champions League. So there's a winner out there, and I
yeah.
think he'll fit in like a glove.
Absolutely. I think nothing more to add there. That is absolutely how United should be looking there. If at all we are looking to upgrade, go for a player who will become our number one. You don't want, somebody coming in and hoping for competition to Onana. We've seen, I think, if we were to sign a goalkeeper, get somebody like a Donnarumma in who will be our new number one.
Yep.